What's up, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas on the Pot at the Palace. Hey, folks, we got about a week between games. It's weird. I mean, it feels like the off season again, the preseason. We were doing these daily mailbags, and I was like, man, I hope y'all got some good questions because I don't know what to talk about. But I think this is a good time here where, like every day leading up to the next game, it's not until the 21st. We're just going to highlight some of the biggest developments maybe so far for the Razorbacks and look ahead at what's critical for this team as they gear up for SEC play. Ironically enough, I think this morning we're actually going to do both of those things because, frankly, the return and emergence of Jonas Aidoo is a big deal now, and it's critical for Arkansas' ceiling this season. It really is. I've been saying all year that he's a game changer for this team, and it's a completely different team, in my opinion, with him out there on both ends of the floor as opposed to with him not. And now I think this past week has been a good illustration of why I've been so bullish about that. Jonas, hey, he's coming off of his best game against UCA on Saturday. He had 13 points, a perfect 6 of 6 from the field, 4 rebounds, a couple blocks, impactful in so many ways. And you can tell that the rust is starting to shake off there, which is good. Not all the way back, but much, much closer than he was a week ago. We saw spurts of it, after he came back, I guess, what was it, a couple weeks ago now, where he would be out there in the first 90 seconds, 2 minutes. You're like, oh yeah, this dude's pretty good. And he just hit a wall with fatigue. He could barely get up and down the court. He's starting to get back in shape, which is good. So we just had to trust the process a little bit, I think, as he was kind of shaking off the rust. And if you listen to John Calipari, Aidoo also had to start trusting himself again. And I think the mental hurdle of coming back from an injury where he spent a lot of time off, and in his case, where he tried to come back once and wasn't quite ready yet, I don't think that is really talked about enough. Let's hear what Cal had to say about Jonas after the game on Saturday.
So you kind of gone about his
strength yet, but he gives you a physical presence. He was an all-conference player. You're not talking about just another guy. You're talking about a 6'10", 6'11", all-conference player. Now, the Michigan game, I had to show him some tape of him running. Like, you can do this. You just choose not to, because he ran that Michigan game. He was not giving him anything over the top, which tells you he's probably a little farther along than I give him credit for.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes you need to see a guy do it before you can really gauge where they're actually at. And again, it's that mental hurdle. I think there are times where you might get in a situation like that Michigan game where you've been trying to kind of ease your way back in a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're being challenged. You're caught up in the atmosphere. It's physical. It's a dogfight. You're fueled by adrenaline. You forget all about anything outside of that moment. And then you start letting it go a little bit, right? You kind of cross that threshold. I think that Jonas needed that in that Michigan game. And so did Arkansas. And I did think it was interesting. He was talking about, him running a little bit, like just, kind of letting it go, not babying that thing and just getting after it, not thinking. And I thought against UCA, a couple things that really stood out to me was he was beating UCA down the floor, for layups and open shots down there. And I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good sign that he's feeling good and getting back into shape. He's a little bit more decisive. And we saw some of that against Michigan as well. I remember a little bit of a chase down block he had, and just the way that he was fighting in there for position in the post, the way he was moving on pick and roll defense. There is no babying, a leg in a game like that if you want to be effective at all. I thought it was good. Against Michigan, it felt like it was his defensive presence mostly in that game. And he had some moments offensively, but for the most part, I thought it was his defense that was really caught up. And that's kind of, I think, what you would expect, right? The offense usually will be a little bit behind. Saturday, I thought it was his offense that shined. Like you said, he was 6 of 6 from the field in this game, really showing that soft touch. He's right-handed, but with that left hand, that little baby hook, man, it looks smooth in there. The end result, when you get both of those things, is a team that's better on both ends of the floor with him on it. A good development.
I thought we did some good stuff. It's nice now we can throw the ball to Jonas, and he can make decisions, and he can score around the basket. You're seeing why we wanted him here. You're also seeing why he was an all-conference player.
Exactly. Cal is exactly right. This is not just another body out there, you know? Like they don't hand out all SEC honors like they're participation trophies. You got to be good if you're going to get them, and he is. So, you know, could or should Arkansas have played better or really dispatched to some of these, you know, mid-major teams, you know, in his absence? Could they have, you know, maybe stolen that game against Baylor without him? Yeah, I mean, it's fair to wonder about those things. I get it. But there's no doubt that the presence of Jonas Aidoo was missed. Absolutely. You know, we've spoken a lot about just how well coached Jonas was at Tennessee. You know, even before he was in the portal or a target for Arkansas, I was always calling him the most improved player in the SEC, maybe the country last year. The development was incredible, very, very fundamentally sound, and also high IQ. And, you know, I think now that he's catching up physically, that part of it is really starting to pay dividends. And I tell you what, let's look at a couple clips here, just a couple quick offensive clips from Saturday that I think illustrate the subtle things that he does to make a difference. Let me see if I can pull one up here. Okay. And so this is just, look, it's just a pick and roll score. Okay. So it's nothing too fancy here. By the way, him and DJ Wagner have a really good rapport developing. I think it's fair to say at this point that those guys have a little bit of budding chemistry there, which is a good thing. So what you're going to see here is a little bit of a clear out just for pick and roll action, creating a little bit of two-man game with DJ and Jonas Aidoo. So right here off the top, I think Jonas is able to see like, okay, there's not going to be a hard hedge on this. So I can be a little bit patient. You know, some guys don't read the pick and roll. They just set the screen and automatically turn and roll. It's like they're programmed to do it. But he's very patient here in terms of reading what his defender's doing, what UCA's defender is doing. He's also a little bit flat on this screen because DJ, the angle is not great there, but he also doesn't need a good screen to turn the corner on this during the clear out. And I think Jonas knows that. So then what happens is you you have his defender who is maybe trying to do a little bit of bump and under or something. It just didn't work out because their guard got over the top. So a little bit of confusion between the two guys for UCA. Jonas is just standing there. If you look across the other side of the lane, you see, you know, two guys for UCA who are both out of position, both have their heads turned, and he's just going to have an open lane to take his time and drop in for the dunk. It's subtle again, but it's a high IQ play. He thought about it, he read it appropriately, and they get a dunk out of it. Now, the other one that I want to pull up here. Okay, this is the best possession of the season for Arkansas offensively in the half court by far. 5 dribbles, 10 passes, and a dunk. And Aidoo finishes it with the dunk, but he has his handprints all over this possession. So the first thing there, okay, you see when Richmond goes baseline, like some guys would just stay there and post. He clears out. He J-cuts a little bit just to provide a little bit of space. That's a subtle thing, but it's a well-coached move on his part. He gets the hell out of the way. You see this a little bit later, and I should have pulled up the clip, but I didn't. When Carter Knox drove baseline and got that big dunk, part of the reason why was because Aidoo turned his body, kind of like he is here, to position himself for a drop-off if he needed it, but he also sealed off the extra defender, and it kind of cleared a pathway for Carter to get in there and get a dunk. So he should get an assist for that. Okay. So there's the kick out. And what you see right here, Jonas is reading this. All right. So he sees Boogie's got this basketball now. If he drives it, then he's in position to get the lob. If it's swung over to Nelly Davis, he can immediately turn and try to get a post up on the reversal. Well, they're not even guarding him. So they're kind of in scramble mode here. So he does a good job. Now, when he catches this basketball and he sees the defense flooding to him, like the double is coming, automatically, you know, one of two things. It's either, all right, like somebody's open. If I'm getting double teamed, somebody's open. So I'm either going to have an open cutter or I'm going to be able to skip it out to a shooter. So what he does is leaves his feet here, and he has a few different options, right? I think that he was initially going to skip this ball across to DJ Wagner, but he's relocating to the corner, so it changes the angle. And so instead of maybe making a low percentage pass out there, he makes the adjustment, gets it back out to Nelly. The ball keeps moving. And then he's just waiting in the wings. And as soon as he read this perfectly, because watch his hand go up, as soon as he sees the defender start to leave him, he's calling for the lob. Voila. There you go. I want to play this entire clip one more time because it's just good basketball. J cut. Here comes the reversal. Post entry. Being patient. Skip's not there. Kick it back out. Relocate. Throw me the basketball, buddy. Dunk that thing. It's good stuff. All right. There you go. There you have it. I'm really, really excited about the potential of this Arkansas basketball team with the healthy Jonas Aidoo. I do think that he's a game changer, and they're going to need him because bigger and better challenges are coming. But you got 2 more games to really continue to settle in and want to see him continue to do that. And then I'm intrigued by Arkansas's front court. Don't worry. We're going to talk about Trevin Brazil this week, no doubt about it. But between Jonas getting healthy, Trevin's emergence there at the 4 where he's comfortable, you get Big Z back and healthy from that ankle injury. And then you also don't have to rely on him as heavily as you did earlier in the season. I think that makes him a better version of himself. Oh, and then, by the way, your starting 4 is your best player, Aidoo Thero, who's been out with the flu. You get this core 4 guys in the front court completely healthy and firing all cylinders. Arkansas is nasty in there. They really are. So the potential is high, and it's crazy in a good way, I think, because we're starting to see those signs like the needle's moving in the right direction. The trajectory is pointing up for this team in terms of starting to figure it out. They've had all 9 guys available at various times, but they have not been at full strength in terms of all 9 of these guys being fully healthy and at full strength. Now's the perfect time to do that. You got 2 games in 2 weeks against mid-major opponents. You get some practice time, let guys recharge the batteries a little bit, and then maybe you're firing on all cylinders for SEC play. So appreciate you guys tuning in with me for a little bit. I'm going to get out of here, but I will be back in the morning. I think we'll talk a little bit of Trevin Brazil tomorrow, but appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you get subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Ben Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod at the Palace. See you guys later. Have a good one.